Okay, the next topic will be on 2D list or nested list. Let's learn how to create, how to traverse, and then finally, if time permits, I would like to write a program with regard to how to transpose a 2D list, even though it's not a part of the textbook questions. Okay, so let's get started. Now let's say I would like to create a 2D list. Okay, so the first question will be creating 2D list. Okay, so as usual, let's have the empty list. Now this is the list in which I would like to create the 2D list or the nested list, and then I'll need the value of row. So you could use the statement of int input and then number of rows. Okay, and then likewise do the same thing for the column. Got the spelling wrong. Okay, the number of columns. So I would like to have 3 rows, and then I would like to have 2 columns. Okay, so which means the example could be something like this. 3 rows means there should be 3 lists, but in each of those lists you should have 2 elements. So the example could be something like this: 10, 20, comma, and then 30, 40, and then you have 50, and then you have 60. So this is an example of 2D list with 3 rows and then 2 columns. So if you could visualize this particular example in the form of matrix, it would be a wonderful idea. So it could be something like this. Say, how many columns do I have? I have 2 columns, and then I have 3 rows. Okay, so column number 0, column number 1, row number 0, 1, 2. And then you will have 10, 20, 30, 40, and then you have 50, and then you have 60. So it's a nice way if you could visualize 2D list in the form of matrix, so that when you come across various kinds of questions, it'll be a lot easier for you to write the algorithm or the program. Okay, so this is an example of a list with 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay, so let's move further. I'll be needing to loop for I in. Instead of range, I could straight away write R, and then I'll be needing this row equals an empty list by the name of row. I'll come to that a little later. And then for J in C. Okay, so I is used to keep track of the elements. Okay, element number 1, 2, and 3. J is used to keep track of elements within, the individual list or the individual element, right? And then let's get the value in a variable called ELE. I'll use this int, okay, and then input. And just to make the message for the user in a little formatted way, I'll just write element, okay, and then we'll have the plus, the value of I, the row number, and then plus, I'll write comma here, followed by the column number, which is represented by J, and then finally I'll have the colon. Okay, so this will be a message which will help the user understand better. Okay, so initially when the value of I, J starts with 0, it'll be something like this: input, element, 0 and 0, which means you're referring to the first element. Okay, just to help the user understand a little better. Okay, and then now the next step will be I need to add the element in the row using the function of append. Okay, and then I'll write here ELE. So this will go on. So once I am done with all the inner loops, I need to append to the list element, so to the list, append, and then I will have the row. Okay, so this is pretty much okay. Now let's try the logic of the program. Okay, so let's do this real quick. Let's say the value of R is 3 and then the value of C is 2. Okay, initially the value of I is 0, the value of J is 0. So the message will be enter the element for the value whose indexes are element 0 and 0. Let's say I enter 10. So the 10 will be assigned to ELE. So this ELE, which is 10, will be appended to row. Okay, so you will have 10 here, and then from here J value gets updated to 1. Okay, so this time element of 0 and 1. Element of 0 and 1. Let's say I enter 20. 20 will be assigned to ELE. And then earlier row has 10, remember? And then 20 will be added to 20 will be appended to 10. Okay? And then when the value of J becomes 2, that's when the loop gets over. Okay? And then I come out of the inner loop. The value of row is nothing but 10, 20. 10 and 20 will be added to the list. So which means in the list you're going to have the first element as 10 and 20. Okay, and then from here I go for the next outer loop. The next outer loop, the I will have 1. I will have 1. J will again start from 0. Okay, so this time 1 and 0, 1 and 0, which means you're talking about this. Okay, so 1 and 0. So for 1 and 0, I enter, say, 30. And then 30 is assigned to ELE. And then, do you see this? When I am done with the first outer loop, and then when I started the second outer loop, the row content will be emptied. Okay? So the row will now be an empty list, which means you will no more have 10 and 20. So the 30 will be appended. And then again, the J value changes to 1. So this will be 1 and 1. And then I enter the next value, say 40. Okay, 40 will be assigned to ELE. 40 will be added to 30. Alright? And then when the value of J changes to 2, the inner loop should have been completed. Okay? And then the value of row being 30 and 40 will now be appended to your list. So it will now be 30 and 40. Okay? And then again it goes to the next value of I as 2. So it will be 2 and 0. You will have 50. Okay? And then 2 of 0 and then 2 of 1. J will change to 1. 2 of 1, I'll enter 60. So you will have 50 and 60, and finally, when the inner loops, get over, 50 and 60 will be added like this. Okay? I hope you are clear with this program. So by the end of this program, what happens is you will end up with the list with 3 elements. Element number 1, element number 2, element number 3, and then each of these elements is nothing but a list in itself. Okay, so this is how you write the program, to create the list. Now let's say I would like to print. The list. Okay, just get rid of this. Printing in other term, could be Traverse. Okay, so I'll just write the title as Traverse. Traverse. Okay, say let's have a list. An example like something like say 10, 20, and then you have 30, 40, and then you have 50, and then you have 60. So you already have list created as 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, 60, and you're supposed to write a program which will traverse or which will print the individual elements, right? So this is pretty simple. R is equal to, can I say like length of list? Length of list means the number of elements in the list. So you have element number 1, 2, 3. So the answer is 3. 3 becomes the value of R, which means you have 3 rows and number of columns could be something like this, list of 0. So 0 means you're referring to the first element. 1 means second, 2 means third. Okay, when you check out the length of list of 0, it's nothing but 2. Even if you write 1, even if you write 2, you should still get the same answer because 2D should have the similar shaped list as elements. Okay, and then now it's very simple. For I in R, okay, and then for J in C, and then you would like to print the individual elements, right? Print, okay, and then how do you access the individual elements? It's pretty simple. You have list of I and J, okay, and then perhaps I could leave a space or leave a tab like this, and then I'll have the print statement just at the end of all the inner loops like this, just to push the cursor to the next line. Okay, so this the list could be viewed as a matrix. Okay, you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then you have 60. All right, something like this, and then you have the column numbers as 0 and 1, and the row numbers as 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so this particular list could be viewed in the form of matrix. The reason why I said it'll be easier for you to understand the program better is, now when you scan the program, you will just realize, say the length of list is how much? This is, the length of list is how much? This is 3, and the length of list of O is 2. Okay, so you have 3 here, and then you have here 2. Okay, so the value of I will start with 0, the value of J will start with 0. List of 0 and 0 means, you will print the first value, which is 10. And then up here, the 10 has row number of 0 and column number of 0. Hence, 10 will be printed, followed by a tab. Okay, and then the J value changes to 1. So this time it will be list of 0 and 1. List of 0 and 1 means you're referring to this. Remember, list of 0 and 0, 1. So you're pointing to the 20. Or, this row, this 20 has row of 0 and column of 1. Hence, the 20 will be printed. And then when the value of J changes to 2, that's when the inner loops, should stop. And then it reaches here, it goes to the next line, and then I will change to 1. J will again start with 0, 1 and 0, 1 and 0. This is the 1 and this is the 0. Remember? This 30 has row number of 1 and column as 0. So 30 will be printed. And then the J value changes to 1. 1 of 1. 1 of 1 means, followed by tab space, you will have 40. Okay? So this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. Okay, but 0 of 0, this is 0 of 0, this is 0 of 1. This is 1, but this is 1 of 1 and 0, 1 and 1. This is 2, but this is 2 and 0, and this is 2 and 0, 1 to write. This is 2 of 0, 2 and 0, and 2 and 1. So this is again a simple program that will help us to traverse a 2D list. Perhaps actually you could make the output look a little better, look closer to how the matrix looks like, but then you have to put in a lot of formatting statements like the print, the tab, the spaces, and the braces. Okay, but this is the crux of the matter behind how to traverse a 2D list. Now finally, we'll try to transpose. Okay, finally we'll write a program for transposing a 2D list. Transposing means changing rows to the columns. Okay, so let's take an example of a list which will have the elements like 10, 20, 30, 40, and then finally 50 and 60. Okay, so this is the 2D list which we would like to transpose. Transpose means changing rows to columns and columns to row. So if I could just visualize this in the form of matrix 30, 40, 50, 60, okay, like this. So you'll have the row number as 1, 0, 1 and 2, and column number as 0 and 1. So this has to be changed to, it has to be like this. 10, the first row will change to the first column, second row will change to the second column, and third row will change to the third column. Okay, so this is what we call as transpose. I think you have this topic in matrix chapter. Okay, 0, 1, 2 in mathematics, sorry. So the rows, when they are changed to column, that's what we refer to as the transpose. So let's try to write a program which will do the same thing. So I need a new list, a new empty list in which I'll get to see the transposed 2D. Okay, and then I'll just keep it simple. Row is equal to 3, and then column is equal to 2. Okay, and then now this time, we'll start like this. We'll start as for J in C. Okay, normally we start with for I in R. Since it is based on transpose, we would like to start with for J in C, and then I'll need this row an empty list, and then for I in R. Okay, so the idea is I need to pick up 10, 30, 50, and then have it as the first element of NN. Okay, pick up 10, 30 and 50 and then have it as the first element of NN, right? So that is the reason why the inner loop has to execute 3 times. Okay, I need to pick up this, this and this. So since the value of R is 3, if I start from 0, it moves on to 1 and 2. So you have 3 cycles. Okay, but the whole process, I pick up 10, 30, 50, that's the first, the process as a whole, and then the second outer loop will pick up 20, 40 and 60. So 2 outer loop, but 3 inner loops, right? So that's the reason why J, will start with 0 and then it will finish at 1. I will start with 0, but it will... Okay, the next will be row dot append. Now the question is, how do I refer to 10, 30 and 50? Okay, as you could see here, I pick up 10, 30 and 50, and they form the first element of the new list. So this is NL and this is the list. Okay, so the idea is I need to pick up 10, 30 and 50 so that these three values become the first element of the new list, right? So the name of the old list is list, all right? And then now what changes? Do you see a change in the row number and the column number? When I pick up this, when I pick up 10, when I pick up 30, when I pick up 50, do you see a change in the column or do you see a change in the row? We see a definite change in the row. Look at this, this is row number 1, row number 2, row number 3. Okay. However, the column number, doesn't change. I repeat, I need to pick up 10, 30 and 50. That's pretty clear. But when I, move about picking up 10, 30 and 50, do you see a change in the row number or the column number? So the row number definitely changes from 0 to 1, 1 to 2. Okay. However, the column number remains at 0, 0 and 0. So which means I should be using I for the row and then J for the column. Okay. So if you take a closer look, we'll just try to complete the program, and then finally, I should have new list dot append, and then I'll have row. Okay, so this is how you transpose. So we'll try to run the program. Okay, everybody, the value of C is how much? This is 2, and then this is 3. Okay, J will start from 0, and then I will also start from 0. So 0 of 0, no problem. In row, I'm going to have the first value will be 10. Okay, and then once I'm done with this, the value of I will now change to 1. Okay, so 1 means now this will now change to 1 and 0. 1 and 0 means row number 1. Row number 1 means the element number 1. So this is element number 0 and this is element number 1. In element number 1, pick up the 0th element, which is 30. So 30 will be appended to the row. You will have 30. Alright? And then the value of I will change to 2. The value of I will change to 2. Okay? So this time it will be 2 and 0. So do you see a clear situation where the row changes, however the column remains the same? Okay, so 2, 0 means 0, 1, 2. Pick up the 0th element, which is 50. So 50 will be added to the row. Okay, so once it changes to 3, that's when the inner loops should stop executing. And then when you come out, the value of row as a whole becomes the new or the first element of NL. Okay, and then from here the J value changes to 1. Now it's pretty simple. Okay, J value changes to 1 and the I will again start from 0. Okay, so this time what do you have here? The value of J is 1, the value of I is 0. So this time you will have 0 and 1. So the value of I is 0, the value of J is 1. So 0 and 1 means, so again 0 means the first element. Okay, the first list element, but you are focusing on the first element. So I being 0 means you're pointing to this as a whole, and then J as 1 means you're pointing to 20. So 20 will now be added to row. Row will now have 20, okay? And then once it goes up, the value of I will change to 1. So this time it will be 1 and 1. 1 and 1 means 0, 1. And then from here, which is the first element? This 0, 1. Okay, 1 means this element is at the first index, and then among these two, 40, sits at the first index. So the 40 will be appended to the row, and then comma again, the I changes to 2. When I changes to 2, what happens? 2 and 1 means 0, 1, 2. Okay, 0, 1, 2, and then from here pick up the first element, which is 60, and 60 will be added to row. So when it changes to 3, this is when the inner loops should stop executing, and then in NL I already have 10, 30 and 50, to which this list will then be added as 20, 40, and then you have 60. Alright, so this is how you transpose the list. Okay, it's a little complicated, but provided you pay very close attention, and then once you have understood, try to rewrite the program in the book first, and then run it live on the system. Okay, you for sure will be able to get the entire thing done. All right, so with this I would like to wind up. So for today's session, we have done 2 major parts. The first one is the list comprehension, and the second one is the 2D list or nested list. Okay, and then next class I'll be continuing further with the remaining topics of data structure called the stacks and the queues. Okay, until then, take care and study hard. Thank you very much.